Have you ever felt like you're being watched by an intelligence that has no eyes, yet knows every beat of your heart? That coincidence that made you stop the car, that call that arrived at the exact second of your collapse. That's not luck. It's the universe breaking the laws of probability to rescue your soul from a life that no longer belongs to you. Today, the mystery will knock on your door. In this video, we go beyond superficial self-help. We dive into the deep psychology of Carl Jung to understand how synchronicity, the shadow, and the stripping away of social masks are the keys to your true spiritual awakening. You'll discover that the chaos of your current life is, in fact, a sacred reorganization for your next great leap. Many times, life places us in deserts where the silence is deafening, where the plans of the ego fail and control slips through our fingers. It is in this state of surrender that spirituality ceases to be a concept and becomes a living experience. Carl Jung, one of the greatest cartographers of the human psyche, taught us that there is an invisible thread connecting our mind to the cosmos. Today, we will learn to see this thread. We will understand why certain doors close and why chance is, in truth, destiny disguised as coincidence. Prepare yourself for a journey of reconnection with your wholeness. For most people, the world is a set of random gears. For the seeker, the world is an oracle. Carl Jung defined synchronicity as the principle of a causal connection, when an inner psychic event and an external physical event meet in an embrace of meaning. It's when your dream from last night comes alive in a newspaper headline or in the advice of a stranger. These moments are cracks in ordinary reality, proving that psyche and matter are merely two sides of the same coin. In personal development, synchronicity functions as a golden compass. It doesn't tell you where to go through logic, but confirms that you are on the right path through awe and reverence. This connection reveals the unus mundus, the concept of a single, unified world where there is no separation between self and other. When you experience a synchronicity, you are witnessing the moment when the universe acknowledges your existence. It's not just about getting a sign, but about realizing that you are an active participant in the creation of reality. To access this level of spiritual awakening, it is necessary to abandon arid rationalism that tries to explain everything. Synchronicity requires a state of mystical participation, where you become sensitive enough to notice that life is, at every moment, trying to start a conversation with you. It is the end of existential loneliness. But how can we hear this sacred conversation with the universe if the voice we project into the world is not our true voice? For the signal of synchronicity to be clear, we must first tune the receiver, our own identity, stripping away the layers that hide who we really are. We live in an age of display windows, where the persona, the mask Jung described as our interface with the collective, has become a prison. You carry the burden of being the perfect child, the tireless professional, or the unshakable spiritual one. But behind this mask, there is a cry for help. Excessive identification with the persona is the greatest cause of modern depression. You feel empty because the world only applauds your mask, while your essence remains hidden and malnourished. Spiritual awakening begins the moment you accept the risk of disappointing the world in order to be faithful to yourself. Letting go of these expectations is not an act of selfishness, but of the soul's survival. Jung warned that the persona is a segment of the collective psyche, not something individual. When you live through the persona, you are not living your life, but the life society sketched out for you. The process of individuation requires that you deflate this idealized image. It is a painful process, because it involves the death of who you believed you should be. However, it is in this emptying that the self, your divine center, begins to emit its own light. By releasing control over how others see you, you reclaim the vital energy that was spent maintaining the facade. True inner transformation occurs when your doing in the world is a natural overflow of your most intimate being. Removing the mask of the persona, however, reveals something we spend our lives trying to ignore. To shine with the light of essence, we must first have the courage to walk through our own basements and welcome what we have hidden in the shadows. Most people spend their lives trying to be good, but Jung taught us that it is better to be whole. Being whole means looking at the shadow, that inner repository of feelings, desires, and pains that we label as unacceptable. When you deny your anger, your sadness, or your emptiness, you hand them control over your life. What you do not resolve consciously returns to you as a symptom, as an addiction, or as a tragic destiny. Your only task, many times, is not to fix anything, but simply to have the courage to feel the pain without running from it. Emotional healing is not the absence of pain, but full presence in the face of it. Integrating the shadow is the supreme act of practical spirituality. It is not about becoming perfect, but about embracing the human in all its complexity. When you allow the light of consciousness to touch your darkest parts, the lead of anguish begins to be alchemically transformed into the gold of wisdom. This descent requires a surrender to the flow of life. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" you begin to ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" By feeling fully, you untie the energetic knots that were blocking your prosperity and your peace. The soul only rests when it no longer needs to hide anything from itself. Accepting what we feel frees us from an exhausting inner struggle, but this freedom requires a new way of walking, a sacred balance between the rigidity that tries to control destiny and the soul that needs space to simply flow. There is an archetypal conflict within all of us: the pure, the eternal youth, who wants freedom, flight, and the absence of limits, and the senex, the rigid old man, who wants control, security, and absolute order. If you live only in the pure, your life is smoke, without roots or fulfillment. If you live only in the senex, your life is a crystal prison, where the soul dies of thirst. The universe operates in the balance of these opposites. Synchronicity appears precisely in the crack between your effort, senex, and your surrender, pure. Trusting in the universe's timing is not passivity. It is understanding that there is a rhythm greater than your stopwatch. The universe is never late. It simply waits for your maturation to deliver what you asked for. This tension is the foundation of existential wisdom. For personal development, it is vital to recognize when we are being too rigid, trying to force doors that the universe closed for protection. This rigidity is the ego's fear of losing control. On the other hand, total surrender without structure leaves us adrift. The secret of individuation is to build a vessel, structure, strong enough to contain the fire of the spirit, yet flexible enough not to break when the winds of change blow. By balancing discipline with surrender, you stop fighting the current and begin to use the river's force to navigate. It is the art of effortless action, where life flows through you, not in spite of you. This constant flow between effort and surrender does not arise by chance. It blossoms through an attitude of deep listening. To navigate this river wisely, we must learn to read the silent signs that life offers us with every breath. The voice of the universe does not shout, it whispers, and to hear a whisper, it is necessary to cultivate silence. In the noise of notifications and incessant worries, the next step of your journey has already been announced, but you didn't hear it. The perception of synchronicity requires a state of open presence. It's not about hunting for signs, but about becoming the kind of person that signs can find. Your spiritual awakening depends on your ability to look at everyday life with eyes of wonder. A recurring dream, a word spoken by a child on the subway, or an unexpected obstacle. All of these are geographic coordinates of your soul. Cultivating this perception is an exercise in continuous contemplation. Begin to write down what the world tells you. Keep a journal where the focus is not your problems, but the clues life left on your path today. When you begin to pay attention to the invisible begins to become increasingly visible. This is the path of spiritual truth, understanding that reality is a constant conversation between you and the Creator. The next step does not require you to see the entire staircase. It only requires that you trust the light illuminating the step where your feet are right now. Stillness is not a lack of movement. It is the central point where all movement in life gains meaning. We've walked deep paths today. We understood that synchronicity is the embrace of the universe, that your masks are too heavy to keep carrying, and that your pain contains the seed of your greatest strength. You are not a biological accident on a lost planet. You are consciousness itself experiencing itself through every challenge and every random encounter. Your task today is not to plan the next 10 years. It's simply to sit for 5 minutes, close your eyes, and ask your silence, which mask can I let go of today? Don't look for the answer in the mind. Feel it in the body. The first answer that comes with a sense of relief. That is your sign. If this dive into Jung's ideas and deep spirituality touched your essence, don't let this flame go out. Subscribe so we can continue this journey of personal development and awakening together. Leave an "I trust" in the comments if you're ready to stop controlling and start flowing. Your presence here today was not a coincidence either. It was synchronicity. Peace and light.